What is one natural law that if you understand it, it could be a game changer to your life, your business, your progression, everything? In this video, we're going to talk about the law of polarity. So basically, the law of polarity states that in the universe, there are always two opposites of every single thing that exists. So when we think about it, let's think about, have you ever heard the phrase, as above, so below, as without, so within? What does that mean? That means at any given time, both sides of one coin will always exist. And because that is the case, you should never, ever stress. Now, let me break this down for you. There's so many different examples, but let's go into, you have masculine and you have feminine energy. So if you have two different energies that are opposites, you have to understand that in nature is always trying to balance out. In your life is always trying to balance out. And that's why opposites exist, to balance things out. Because if you're on one side of a spectrum too much, things are going to be one way. If you're on one side of the spectrum too much, things are going to be a different way. And nobody ever wants to be only one way. Everybody wants to feel balanced. So masculine and feminine energy, it could be inside of a relationship. It could be at the workplace. There's always going to be somebody taking the lead, and there's always going to be somebody nurturing. Let's look at business. When you look at business partners, there's always somebody that has the more masculine roles and responsibilities. And then there's always somebody that has the more feminine roles and responsibilities. And that's not a bad thing, but that is something that is always existing. What are like masculine traits? Like outreach, going out and getting it, marketing, advertising, operations. What are more of the feminine things? Admin things. Also, product creation, right? Things that you're nurturing. So when you understand these things, you can implement it into your life and your life will become better because the understanding that you'll have will be a lot better. It'll be a lot more clear. And you won't be mad about certain things that you may be mad about because now you understand those things. So if you want to experience more feminine energy, you have to increase your masculine energy because that's how the law of polarity works. Another example is, let's say that you're down on hard times. Let's say you feel like you're at the bottom. I always say, when you're at the bottom, the only place you can go is up. Bottom, bottom, top. That's the law of polarity. So when you're at the bottom, you need to be positive so that you can always ensure that you go up, because it exists. So never get down on yourself when you're at the bottom, because you know that the top exists. And all you have to do is put your mind to that. And what ends up happening is you're going to do things that's going to get you to that level, right? So if you're experiencing something internally, you have to understand that that's going to be reflected externally, because that is the law of polarity. If you're dealing with somebody in life and they have certain characteristic traits you may not like, if you understand the law of polarity, you will know that the opposite exists and or something is going on within them. And that can allow you to have more empathy. That can allow you to have more understanding just dealing with people. Because in life, you're going to deal with people no matter what. In a relationship, you're going to deal with people. So when you understand, like, the law of polarity means that all opposites exist at the same time. And no, opposite is either good nor bad. It just is. It just exists. So understand the law of polarity. Now, you have good, bad, happy, sad, angel, devil. It's all around us. It is all around us. Now, we go from understanding the law of polarity to be polarizing. I want to share something with you, and I want you to really, really hear what I'm saying. You have to go through life and be polarizing. If you want to be a successful individual and a fulfilled individual internally, you have to be polarizing. Now, what do I mean by polarizing? You have to be a way and also make the world choose if they like you or not. Because nobody that makes everybody happy is ever going to be internally happy and content and fulfilled. If you want to be successful in business, you can't be going through life making everybody happy. If you want to have a successful relationship, marriage, you have to know that you have to be a certain way. You have to have certain principles. You can't have these principles and then with the person that has the opposite principles, you're trying to pander to that and make that happy. Because what happens is you're never true to yourself. If you're never true to yourself, how are you going to be happy? How are you going to feel fulfilled? How are you going to feel accomplished? You're not. And also, when you're not polarizing, you attract the people in your life that are not for you. When you're not polarizing, you attract the people in your life that are not for you. Because if you're doing things to get people to be attracted to you, that really means that you're being fake. So how can you live a real life if you are being fake? Think about that. How can you live a real life if you are being fake? If every day of your life, you're not picking a side, you're not making decisions based on who you are, what your principles are, what your values are, and that's it. If you're not ruffling feathers just because of who you are, you're probably people pleasing or considering other people a little bit too much than you need to be. The goal in life should not be to consider everybody all day. The goal in life should be to be who you are and be the most powerful, strongest individual that you can be. And over time, what ends up happening is you are going to have the people in your life that rock with you for you. Point blank, period. Don't go through life trying to be somebody for everybody else. Because if you have 10 people in your life, in your personal life, family life, and also your work life, and you have all these people and they have different expectations of you, and you're trying to be this person for each of these individuals, and then when you go home, you're empty, you're tired, you're drained, that's not sustainable. And this is why they say, when you get isolated, you hear the truth, you can see clear, you can hear clearly. Right? Because the more you get tapped in and dropped into you and yourself, the more you're going to be able to live a fulfilled and authentic life. You got to ask yourself, in what ways, or have I ever been somebody for somebody else that wasn't true to me? And now ask yourself, how did that feel? How did that feel? Deep down inside. Because people will complain that you're not this or you're not that or you're not doing this, when deep down that's not even who you are. But because you're a people pleaser, you've been trying to be this person for that individual. But if you look at any of the greats, great speakers, the great athletes, entertainers, they all choose a side. Look at comedians. Comedians, they have stand-up comedies. You can't be a successful stand-up comedian and you're not taking a stance on certain things, certain viewpoints. because that's how you're going to attract your real tribe. That's how you're going to attract the people that are really for you. If you're trying to grow a following, if you are trying to appeal to everybody, you're not going to appeal to too much of anybody, because they're not going to know what is your stance. What's your perspective? Who are you for real? The people that have strong tribes, strong followings, they have a stance. They have a viewpoint. Period. It's really that simple. So understand the law of polarity. Everything has opposites. But now when you understand that, if you want to go up in your life, you got to be polarizing, because you have to ask yourself, do I want people in my life that are not for me? If you want people in your life that are for you, you have to be you. If you want people in your life that are for you, you have to be you, because when you are you, you can attract the people that are for you, that are going to support you, that are going to help you get, where you want to go, that are going to pour into you, and that you actually like being around. Stop acting like you like being around people that you don't like being around. If you don't like being around these people, then you need to live that. You need to say that. You need to, operate as that. You don't have to act like you like being around people. You don't have to act like you like people when you don't, because you don't know how to be polarizing, because you don't know how to take a stance, because you're not operating off your principles. You don't even know what your principles are. You don't have them written down. Be polarizing. Take a stance, because if there are always two sides to everything, you have to take a side at some point in life. What do you stand for? What do you not stand for? What do you like? What do you know for a fact you don't like? There's always two sides to it. But at some point, you have to take a stance. You have to make a decision. And always remember that indecision is a decision. If you don't make a decision, you are making a decision. And there will be consequences of that decision. So I really want you to understand the law of polarity. This is a natural law. This law has been around since the whole existence of our life has been created. Opposites have always been a thing. Polarity has always been a thing. But knowing how to use polarity for your advancement in life and for becoming a better person and having a better understanding of life, that is always going to help you out. And this is also why they say opposites attract. Something that I've seen being in sales is if I go knock on a door and I'm talking to the wife and she's very nice, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, the husband is probably an asshole. If I'm talking to the husband and he's super chill and super nice, the wife is probably the opposite one. If the husband's like, I don't pay attention to the numbers or the finances, the wife does, because polarity. The opposites are always going to balance out each other, because that's how things become whole. That's how things become one. No one thing is that thing, because it just is everything. No, nothing is everything. Everything is complementary to the other side of something. So when you're going in this world, when you're in this life, navigating, understand how polarity is showing up in your life. And if you can use and leverage polarity and understand it in a very powerful way, you will get better. You will become a better individual. You will be able to make more money. You will be able to be a better person for the people that you love. You will attract authentic people in your life. You will. But if I'm over here, let's say if I really like basketball, but I'm acting like I like anime, I'm gonna be around a whole bunch of people that like anime, and I'm gonna be like trying to, do things that include basketball, and they're not gonna want to do that because they like anime, and I'm gonna be empty. That's not gonna be my real tribe. But when you are who you are, you cannot be afraid to offend people. You cannot be afraid to ruffle feathers. You cannot be afraid to make people feel uncomfortable. You are who you are, and you gotta say it with your chest. You gotta be you unapologetically, no matter what. Don't let a person, a relationship, a spouse, a workplace, don't let none of those things taint who you are. Don't let any of those things change who you are, what you stand for, and what your viewpoints on life are. Because if you do that, you will not be happy and you will not be able to live an authentic life that makes sense for you. So that's the law of polarity. Be polarizing, take a stance, make a decision. Always know that indecision is a decision. And just know that as above, so below. As without, so within. Everything is going to have the two sides. Pick a side. Don't be afraid. Don't get hard on yourself when times are hard, because you know there's good times ahead on the forefront. It's greener pastures, right? So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to see you guys on the next video. Peace.